What's up guys? So a while back I did a video talking about my favorite customer I ever had while driving Uber and what I learned from him. And most of my experiences with people while doing rideshare were pretty good. I'd say 95% of the people that I had in my car were pretty nice, but there was a few not so nice people. And today I thought I would do a video about 5 of my worst rideshare experiences. And one of them happened pretty early on while doing it. His tantrum was so severe that I could still hear him yelling and screaming by the time he got in his house. The girls are at my mum's house and I try and stay around this area because I know I need to get them home for bedtime, which is 8:30. So the Uber app, it doesn't tell me ahead of time where the trip is going to or how long it's going to go. It doesn't tell me until I reach the passenger and physically accept the trip on the app. So what I do, both at times, within an hour of school time or within an hour of bedtime, like school pickup times, I ask the customers where they're going before I swipe. And a fear that I've always had is what happens if I have someone who needs to get to the airport and maybe they're stressed out and I have to say I can't take you. And that just happened. So I got to the guy's house and he asked me to pop the boot and I said, sure. I said, let me just move my kids' school bags. Do you have a lot of stuff? And he said, yeah, I've got quite a bit. I'm heading to the airport. And I said, look, I'm really sorry. I understand this is going to be frustrating, but I actually can't do a trip that far. The Uber app doesn't tell me where the trip is going to until I actually physically get here and accept it. And you tell me where it's going. I didn't say you tell me where it's going, but I said on the app, and I said, I'm really sorry, but I got 2 little girls. I have to get to bed by 8:30. 9 the latest, so me getting to the airport I wouldn't be able to get back in time, so I'm incredibly sorry, you're gonna have to grab another one. And he just went off. He said, yeah, you have inconvenienced me, what the hell, I need to be at the airport straight away, F you, you're an effing idiot, F you, and just started going crazy. And he just went and he slams his door at his house. And the crazy thing is, this guy was just literally around the corner from my mum's house. So he waited not even 2 minutes for me to get there. It wasn't like he had a long way or anything. He just absolutely flipped it. And it also said, like before he had gone and slammed the door, he's like, how am I supposed to get another Uber? I said, just on the app, I'll cancel this one. You don't have to pay anything. You just order another one. Simple as that. And then he, F you, F an idiot, F, slams the door. And I get his frustration. He probably was running late to the airport. It's stressful, but there's not much I can do. And the way that this app is set up is until I get 400 points, I can't see where the final destination is. It's frustrating. This is the way that Uber has set it up. There's nothing I can do as a driver, but at the same time, I have to put my kids before a customer. But it was just, it was an annoying experience, just getting sworn at and spoken to like that. So the next experience I thought I would share is one that had me pretty on edge. So the first red flag was the app told me that I was picking up a woman. That's whose name was on the account. And I went to this house and I'm waiting, and a big man jumps in the back seat of my car and he's wearing a dressing gown, and it's just him. So it's obviously not the person who the account holder is. Someone's ordered the Uber for him. And as a rideshare driver, you do have the right to refuse a trip if something seems a bit dodgy, but you also got to remember there could be conflict around that as well. And this guy, he didn't seem quite all there. You could tell he was quite out of it. He was on some kind of drugs, and he was a big fellow. So I didn't really want to upset him. So I just decided to take him where he needed to go. And I start driving and, I'm just doing small chat. How are you? And he proceeds to tell me that he's just gotten out of hospital that day and that he was in hospital due to his anger issues, and just telling me that he has all these issues with anger and it led to him being hospitalized. It was a bit of an awkward conversation. I didn't want to ask too many questions and make him uncomfortable, and I also didn't want to not seem like I cared either, so I was kind of trying to find the balance. And he was very on edge, he was very up and down, he would just, there was something not right about him, and I just kept feeling like this guy could snap at any moment. Like, he had serial killer vibes about him, just the way that he was telling me about how angry he gets and how he can't help it, and just little things would happen and he would get aggressive and then he would calm down. And one of my go-to things with customers who were, not that nice is I would offer them control of the music. So I asked him, if he was okay with the music that I was playing in the car, and he said it's okay. And we started talking about music, and I said to him, do you have any favorite musicians? What do you like to listen to when you're at home? And he was a huge Obi Trice fan. I was like, let me put on Obi Trice for you. And so I put on Obi Trice, and we're vibing out to Obi Trice together, and all of a sudden his mood picked up and he changed. It was like letting him have that familiarity of his favorite music in the car kind of calmed him down, and it made me feel less on edge. And then I dropped him off and I was good and I went home. But the whole drive I was just thinking, man, this is gonna go bad, this is gonna go bad, this is gonna go bad. And I was having flashbacks of this guy that I grew up with who was not quite all there. He was a heroin addict, and he actually ended up going to jail for stabbing a taxi driver. And this guy gave me similar vibes to this guy that I knew when I was a teenager. And it definitely left me on edge, and I feel like Obi Trice definitely saved the day. I decided it was time to go home, and I literally got down the road from my house, and one more trip came through. And normally the trips in my area are always really, really short. So I thought, all right, why not? I'll grab this one. This guy and a girl jump in my backseat and they're wasted, totally lit. He just had a very aggressive kind of presence. And I asked him where he's going, and he wanted to go to the Dandenong bottle shop, the 24-hour bottle shop. And it was gonna be a 45-minute round trip at least. And in my head, I wanted to say no, but the guy was really wasted, and just his energy, I felt like if I told him no, he would have arced up, and I just, I didn't want to have to deal with all that. So we drove off, and he starts talking about Uber drivers, and he told me about a situation where an Uber driver had just kicked him out of his Uber for no reason halfway through the trip, made him get out. And obviously something had happened. He wasn't telling me the full story. He was telling me the victim story. And so this guy kicked him out in the middle of nowhere, out of his car. And so to get back at the Uber driver, he had some tools. He said he was working as a builder at the time, and he had some of his tools with him. So he got his tools out and started bashing the hood of the guy's car. And in my head, I'm just thinking, it's probably for the best that I didn't knock him back for the trip, because he may have acted the same way towards me. And I'm feeling uncomfortable, but I'm also feeling like I don't want any drama. So I made friends with the guy. He liked to talk. He talked a lot. talked about politics, his conspiracy theories, and I just kind of nodded and, you know, like, I guess talked a little bit as if I understood his conspiracy theories, just like befriended him and chatted away with him. And we went to the bottle shop, we got back, and he actually gave me a tip. He said I was the best Uber driver he's ever had, and yeah, thanked me. So it worked out all right, but it was just a really uncomfortable trip. I was a bit on edge, feeling like if I say or do anything that sets this guy off, because he was like next level wasted. I knew he was the type of guy who could snap, so I felt a bit uncomfortable, but fortunately, yeah, everything was all good. So there was the guy who wanted me to be his wingman. I'm gonna put that one in just 'cause it was a bit of a weird one. So I picked this guy up, it would have been a Friday or a Saturday night, picked him up from St Kilda, and he was drunk and he was going to a bar on Chapel Street, which is pretty close by. And he was going to meet up with a girl that he had met a pretty long time ago, he had said, and he was going to go and reconnect with her. So basically this guy was from interstate and he was just in Melbourne for a short time. He was going back home the next day and he was just wanting to hook up with a girl before he left, and he had messaged a bunch of girls in his phone that he knew from Melbourne, and this was the only one who had gotten back to him, and he was going to meet up with her. And he was speaking about her in a way that was just really pathetic. He just kept talking about her appearance and how, you know, I'm not going to say the stuff that he said, but he was not being very nice in the way that he was speaking about her. But I think in his head, he was somehow big upping himself. Like, I think he was somehow validating himself to me in his head with the way that he was talking about this woman. And I said to him, I was like, well, if you're not attracted to her, why are you meeting up with her? And he was basically saying the fact that he probably would never see her again, it didn't matter if he was attracted to her or not. But then we're like halfway there, and I think he realized that it will be a bit awkward him showing up at this bar on his own while she's there with her girlfriends. So he then asked me if I want to come with him, and he's like, she's got girlfriends with her. You can, you know, you can meet them and keep them company while I talk to her. And I just made an excuse. I was like, oh, sorry, I've got to work tonight, I can't come. And then he asked me how much I earn a night driving Uber, and I told him, and he said, well, how about if I pay you your night's wage to come and pretend to be my friend and help wingman me? And I told him that I wasn't interested. But he was the type of guy who I guess doesn't like to take no for an answer. He clearly had money. And he was like, what if I double it? I'll double your nightly wage if you come and wingman me. And honestly, if he had been a cool guy, if he genuinely liked this girl, I would have done it. I would have done it when he just said that he would pay my night's wage, because it sounds like a more interesting experience than driving around all night. But the fact that he didn't like this girl and he was such a slime ball, I didn't want to help him out. And we spent the rest of the trip him trying to negotiate with me to get me to be his wingman. And he was the type of guy that I pray my girls never meet when they're older. He was just the definition of a creep. The last weird experience I'm going to talk about is one where I ended up having to ask the lady to get out of my car and get another Uber. This was just a really weird experience. So I went to pick up a customer, and I went and parked where the Uber app said that she was. And I'm sitting in my car for a while just waiting, and she doesn't show up. It gets to the point where the app tells me that I can cancel the trip and get a cancellation fee. But I thought, you know what, I'm here, let me just try and get in contact with her. So I send her a message, ask her where she is, and she says she's where she's supposed to be and she's asking where I am. And so I tell her the name of the shop that I'm in front of. And she says, I'm here. You're not there. Where are you? And I wrote back, I'm right here. And she said, no, you're not. And then I see this lady looking pretty frantic, walking onto the road, like looking around. She's on her phone. Clearly that's my customer. And so I call her because I'm able to call the customer, and she picks up and she's like, where are you? And she's quite upset. And I said, I'm right in front of you. You're standing behind my car. And she says, no, you're not. Where are you? I'm looking all over for you. I can't see you. And she was literally standing right behind my car. And I said to her, you're right behind my car, white BMW. She's like, no, you're not. I don't see you. And then she walks in front of my car. And at this point, it's getting kind of comedic. And she's like, where are you? And I said, I'm right here. You're standing in front of my car now. And she's like, no, you're not. And I open my window and I lean out the car and I'm waving and I'm like, I'm right here. In my head, now that she realizes that I was in front of her all along, she's gonna see the comedic side of it and we're both gonna have a laugh together. And she gets in the car and I turn around, I smile like, hey, we got there in the end. You know, I tried to make light of the situation. She just says, I'm late because of you. And she just she mumbled a bunch of other stuff as well. I'm like, but I've been here the whole time. And she's like, just go, I'm late. I swiped the accept thing on the Uber app, but I think I was a little bit rattled by her reaction and being so upset with me that I mustn't have swiped it properly. Now, when I was doing Uber, I would normally cross over to the Apple Maps app once I accepted the trip because I just prefer that map. So I'd gone to Apple Maps and I started following where the app was telling me to go. And she's on the phone with someone talking about me as if I'm not there, this Uber driver this Uber driver that. And I'm just feeling like, I don't know, just feeling like crap, being spoken about like I don't exist. And then suddenly she says, where are you going? And I said, I'm going where the app's telling me to go. She's like, this is the wrong way. And I was like, are you sure? She's like, yes, I know where I'm going. And so I got to the lights and I double checked the Uber app. And sure enough, it was taking me back to where I had picked her up from. I hadn't swiped it properly and it was doing just like the block, taking me back to where she was. And I explained what had happened and I apologized and I said I mustn't have swiped it properly and that's what's going on. And she's like, stupid. She says, stupid. You're so stupid. And at this point, I'm just like, in my head, I'm not gonna be abused like this over what's gonna end up paying me $10. I'm just not putting myself in this situation. I know it's just gonna get worse and worse. So I looked for a safe place to pull over and I didn't say anything. I just pulled over and she says, what are you doing? And I said, I think you have an issue with me and I'm not sure what I've done, but I'm sorry. And I also don't want to be spoken to the way that you're speaking to me. So I think that it's best for both of us if you get out here and you order another Uber, because clearly I'm not doing the job that you are expecting of me and I'm not going to be spoken to like that. And all of a sudden that attitude changes and she's like, I'm sorry. I'm in a rush somewhere. I'm running late. I don't have time to order another Uber. Can you please take me? And I said to her, look, I'll do a deal with you. Let's just start over again. You know, don't speak about me on the phone. Don't call me names. Just treat me like a human being who's doing my job, and I'll do the same to you. And I said, "How are you? My name is Jamie. It's nice to meet you for the first time. What's your name?" And she tells me her name. And I said, "Well, it's nice to meet you. Let's start over." And so we start over and I start driving her where she needs to go. And she stops talking about me, but she's still frantic on the phone. And I figured out she was talking to her boyfriend, and she just keeps apologizing for why she's late, and she's really stressed out. And then we finally get to the place where I have to drop her off, which is her boyfriend's house. And she gets off the phone from her boyfriend, and I'm fully anticipating being abused. Now that she's got nothing to lose, she's where she needs to go, she doesn't need to play nice with me anymore. I'm thinking she's going to give it to me, and then she's going to give me a bad rating. And she caught me totally off guard after she got off the phone, and she said, "I just want to say I'm really sorry about before. I shouldn't have spoken to you like that, and thanks for taking me here." I was not expecting her to take that accountability, and I thanked her and said, "I hope she has a good day." And she got out of the car, and it kind of weighed on my mind for the rest of the day, because everything about that experience caught me off guard and felt strange. And I came up with a scenario in my head, and I don't know if it's true, but I thought maybe she might have been in some kind of abusive relationship, or, you know, she was trying to avoid conflict with her boyfriend, and she was trying to put all the blame on me for why she was late. And that doesn't excuse her behavior in any way, shape, or form, but it was the only justification that I could really figure out in my head as to why was she acting so aggressive with me while she was on the phone to her boyfriend. And then the second she got off, it was full accountability mode. It was a weird experience.